Oh, yes. Hello, welcome. Thanks so much for listening to Weeknights on 5 Live. I'm Qasa Alom, sitting in for Gordon Smart. As we come to the end of a bank holiday, there's no reason to feel down at all because it's time to welcome the man who this week is going to guide us through Eurovision. He knows Dana International isn't an airport and Loreen isn't a malt loaf and can boom, bang-a-bang and ding-a-dong with the best of them as well. Oh, Lordy, it is this man.
Emergency. Paging Dr. Beat. Emergency.
Weeknights with Qasa Alom.
Yes, it's our show's resident musicologist, Professor Joe Bennett from the Berklee College of Music in Boston. And every week he chooses some songs for us to listen to and loves to shine a light out on them as well to encourage us to appreciate them in a new way. What are we looking at this week, Joe?
Okay, well, it's Eurovision week. You can't get away from it this week of May in the UK or indeed anywhere in Europe. Even though I'm coming to you from America, where I often have to explain to Americans what Eurovision actually is, I know that my fellow Europeans and Brits go crazy at this time of year for Eurovision. So we're going to be looking at kind of Eurovision's past to see if we can get a flavour of where Eurovision was, where it's going, and sort of how it's moved with the times, and to try and figure out if there is a Eurovision formula. Maybe let's get into analysing that a little bit, maybe to look beyond the sequins and see if we can actually get into the music.
Oh, I love it, but the sequins and all that are still part of it as well, so we don't want to go too far away from that, Joe, for sure.
You're not wrong.
No.
Yes, without the glamour, we would have no Eurovision, of course.
So, a lot of everything then over the next hour. What does this mean for this week's quiz, though?
Okay, so the quiz, as ever, is going to be 5 short audio excerpts. And I've taken everything, just in case anyone feels that I'm not rooting for the UK enough. All of the quiz questions are from UK entries 1956 to the present. So ever with all of my quizzes, you'll have no advantage by being a particular age or having particular influences of decades. We go right across the map. So I'm going to play you just the instrumental bit, either the intro or the instrumental in the middle. I've done my usual digital trickery so that you can't use Shazam or any of those song identifying tools. And you've just got to name the song. So this is a UK entry, I'm going to say from 40 to 50-ish years ago. I won't give the year to make it too easy. And you're just going to hear the intro. I think this one is the hardest. They get a bit easier after this. So here we go. Question 1, a UK entry from some decades ago. And I had to stop it dead there because that's when the vocal's in. Okay, question 2. This is from even longer ago than that one. This is one from many, many decades ago. And this was the UK's entry from that year. Came in second place in the end. And for those who were about to erupt into song after that floor tom, you clearly know it. Okay, so for number 3, this one is from a little bit more recent, as you'll probably be able to tell from the production. This is the instrumental section that leads into the final chorus. Here we go. Oh, I love a Eurovision song with a guitar solo in it.
Get your lighter out.
And for number 4, this is a little bit older than that one. This is from, let's say, about 4 decades ago. And finally, the bit I previewed for you earlier, Qasa, this is that bit of Euro what have you. This one didn't win. This one actually didn't even come in the top 5, but I think a lot of people will know it. UK entry from a couple decades ago. So the question is simple. Just name the song.
Can't wait to get into all of this. By the way, there's plenty to talk about, but Ruth in Cumbria has just got in touch as well on 85058 on the text, and also the WhatsApp, which is 08085 909 693, saying, please can Joe tell us where he live blogs the Eurovision final? I'd love to have that on at the same time as the radio. That's because you were mentioning your blog, weren't you, before, in the last half hour?
Oh, yeah. So I've been live blogging the Eurovision Song Contest since 2011. And I started just on my little WordPress blog, and I tried to type in real time while the songs were coming on and say, this one's in G minor and it's 120 BPM or whatever, and do a live lyric analysis. That was kind of stressful. So now actually, I just couldn't type that fast. So in more recent years, especially as I live in America now with the time difference, I type it in a couple hours before it goes up. But the key is I try to analyze the songs and predict what the winner will be before the voting begins.
I see.
So the blog is easy to find. If you just type into a search engine of your choice, Joe Bennett Eurovision blog, you'll find it. But it's on my website, joebennett.net, under blog. So thank you, Ruth, for caring about the blog. There's a part of a very small and select group who actually read it every year.
Well, there you'll get at least one more click on the blog this year then, Joe. So, but just before we go into a bit more detail about Eurovision then, we did say goodbye to a couple of notable musicians that I know you'd like to speak about as well. The first is Duane Eddy, who had a guitar sound all of his own. Yeah, that was Duane Eddy and Rebel Rouser. Tell us a little bit more about him then, Joe.
Well, if you ask anybody to name their favourite guitar heroes of classic rock, a lot of the time they're going to name check, Jimi Hendrix or George Harrison or, depending on their age, maybe Mark Knopfler, someone like that. Great guitar players. All of those three people I just listed Duane Eddy as an influence. So Duane Eddy was first. That track, Rebel Rouser, I think was from 1958 or thereabouts. And he was famous for the twang, as everyone referred to it. And specifically, he had a sort of a semi-acoustic F-hole guitar, a Gretsch 6120, which has that very distinctive tone. And he played through these magnetone amplifiers that had what we were just hearing there, this sort of wobbling circuit. It was referred to as Magnavibe. So you get that boom, 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 boom. And he played the melodic themes on the lower notes of the guitar. And he had something like 15 hits, 58 through 63. And when you hear that guitar sound, it's so evocative of that time, of the days of sort of pre-Beatles rock and roll. A lot of people in popular culture have used his music since. That track, Rebel Rouser, appears in Forrest Gump, Natural Born Killers, and Death Proof. And other works by him appeared in Ocean's 11, Blues Brothers, American Werewolf in London. So it's really evocative of that time. And it's just a hugely influential guitarist who had his own sound. I think anyone who knows his repertoire, when you hear those tracks, it instantly sounds like him. And he's on the record of saying, he wants his records to have a particular sound. So, sadly missed. He had a very good innings at 86, but, the loss of a legend and no mistake.
Absolutely. We also lost Yellow's keyboard player, Richard Tandy. Let's remind ourselves of one of his finest moments.
Oh, Mr. Blue Sky, please tell us why you had to hide away for so long. Where did we go wrong? Hey there, Mr. Blue, where's a place to be with you? Look around, see what you do. Everybody smiles at you. Hey there, Mr. Blue, where's a place to be with you? Look around, see what you do. Everybody smiles at you.
Yeah, the unmistakable sound of Mr. Blue Sky there. Tell us about Richard Tandy, Joe.
So Richard Tandy was the keyboard player in ELO, and if people think of ELO, they obviously think of Jeff Lynne, who's the lead vocalist and main songwriter. But Richard Tandy is arguably as much part of the sound of ELO as I'm sure Jeff Lynne would be the first to want to state. So we heard there Mr. Blue Sky from 1977, and one of the things about Richard Tandy as a keyboard player, he was a real technological innovator. Mr. Blue Sky 1977, he was using some of the latest kit at that time. We were hearing actually Richard Tandy's voice there put through an EMS vocoder 2000, and a vocoder is where you play the chord on the keyboard and then you feed the synthesizer with a vocal signal and you get that sort of robotic effect that we heard there. And since hearing the news of the loss of Richard Tandy, it inspired me to go back to ELO's catalogue, which is such a wonderful body of work, amazing production, and there's a particularly lovely session from called Live from Bungalow Palace from 2012, where it's just Jeff Lynne and Richard Tandy, just acoustic guitar and piano and voice, and it's absolutely exquisite. So another legend lost of the classic era of rock and roll, and sadly missed.
Yeah, well put. Thank you so much for that, Joe. So, time to talk a little bit more about Eurovision then, and the music of Eurovision. And I think we need to do this properly, don't we? Yes. Are you in the mood now, Joe?
Oh, that was positively Pavlovian for me, Qasa. It's like I almost wanted to rush and start blogging immediately when I heard
I
that.
can imagine. And your chest is swilled out with loads of, puffed out properly, ready to go. Got 7 coffees on the ready as well. Why is this such a big thing for you? Because like you said, you're in the States as well.
Well, right, as I say, I spend a lot of time explaining to my Berkeley students, do you know about the Eurovision Song Contest? And a surprising amount of people outside Europe are really not familiar with it. On a personal level, it's probably one of my formative influences. The first 2 vinyl records I ever owned in the 70s, the first album was Abbey Road by the Beatles, which is quite a cool first album for whatever I was, 7-year-old to have. But the first single was Save Your Kisses for Me by Brotherhood of Man, which was the winner in 76. So it's always stuck with me, and I've followed Eurovision every year since the 70s. And then, as I say, been live blogging it. And that's led to other various projects. So when the Will Ferrell movie came out, entitled Eurovision Song Contest, it came out in the COVID year when there was no contest. So Netflix actually asked me to analyse the history of Eurovision song, and we did a meta-analysis of 259 Eurovision finalists over 10 years, and we followed data trends of key changes and tempo trends and lyric themes and whether the love songs were happy or sad to really try and understand what was going on in Eurovision culture. And then just last year, 2023, I was actually, for the very first time, I was a country judge for Estonia. They asked various professors, music professors from around the world, to contribute to the Estonian judging, which is thankfully held in English because my Estonian isn't so great. And so we picked Alika Bridges, which was it was the best of the Estonian bunch at that time, and it ended up coming 8th in the competition, which was sort of creditable.
Yeah, definitely. Also, while you're talking there, by the way, I had no idea Will Ferrell had made a Eurovision Song Contest film. This is like literally one of those cultural moments that's clearly just passed me by. I'm just looking at it now. It's got decent reviews. It's got Dan Stevens, Rachel McAdams, Pierce Brosnan in as well. How have I missed this? It's clearly something.
It's a wonderful. Well, 2020 was a weird year for all of us.
Very true. Very true.
So I think you can be forgiven. We all had other things on our mind, but it was it's an extraordinary fun movie, and as a lifelong fan of all things Eurovision myself, it's a real sort of affectionate nod to Eurovision, past and present.
Well, you mentioned you're a lifelong fan. How much do you think the image of the competition has changed then over the time that you've been a fan, but more importantly in recent years as well? Because, I mean, it used to be regarded as a little bit cheesy and a little bit sort of second rate, if you know what I mean. But now people love this and want to be on it as well.
Yeah, I think it's got its act together, if you pardon the expression, over the last sort of 15 years or so. I think the UK particularly, we rather ridiculed it and we liked it, but only ironically. But there are some countries, notably the Scandinavian countries, Germany, and particularly of the Scandies, Sweden, that have kind of always taken it seriously and always wanted to write the very best song that they can. And it's been interesting. I always say that Eurovision is what pop music would sound like if there had never been hip hop. It's like, it's curious, you know, I always try and bring some hip hop onto the show, as regular listeners know, because it's the world's favorite music by many measures. And yet it almost never does well in Eurovision. So it's like a parallel evolutionary experiment of what pop music might have been like if it had taken a different path. And you see influences from real pop. Like after Despacito came out, you had a whole ton of reggaeton type influenced grooves, and there's actually a little bit of cumbia even in this year's contest. So you see some connection with real pop, you might call it.
And there are a couple of semi-finals, obviously, this week. We've talked a little bit about it before the final next Saturday as well. You predicted last year's winner. You've also mentioned who you think the winner is going to be this year. That's who Ewan said would do pretty well. Anybody else that you're looking forward to seeing?
Oh, some ones to watch. Well, as I said before, I'll still wait and review a few more song analyses, but I think I'm looking at Croatia. The artist is called Baby Lasagna, and the song is charmingly called Rim Tim Daggy Dim. One of those nonsense Eurovision titles. But other ones to watch, France's Mon Amour, which is a classic chanson, sort of power ballad. Greece's Zari is really nice. And in fact, that singer, Marina Sati, is one of our alumna from Berkeley College from a few years back. Oh, so we're kind of rooting for her in the US. But I also like the Italian song Angelina Mango, which is more Eurovision typical. It's sort of cumbia reggaeton with a bit of I Will Survive thrown in. So I think there's some really good stuff in there this year.
Fantastic. So let's have a look back then at some of the notable songs from the competitions past and go back exactly 50 years when the competition was held in Brighton. You know who won it and you know the song. Joe, I can see you nodding your head perfectly in time with Waterloo there while that was playing. What can be said about this that hasn't been said?
Well, as a guitar player, it's one of the few examples of it. It's actually a little bit rockier than people think of it. You know, I was actually playing along with the bass line there. You've got this wonderful D chord on the verse, my, and then it goes up while keeping the pedal note, the bass note the same. At Waterloo, and then the bass line's so wonderful. Doom, doom, doom. So just the bass line alone does it for me with Waterloo. But you can see how it must have just been a revelation in 74. If you look at the rest of the 73, 74 competition entries, it's kind of no wonder that ABBA absolutely blasted through with a song of that quality. And, you know, I've seen Benny Andersson speak a couple times about ABBA's songwriting process, and they have such attention to detail. And, of course, their music only got more sophisticated from there, although even by 74, they'd been songwriters for a good 10 years, you know, in Sweden and increasingly outside. They actually entered in 73 with a song called Ring Ring, which a lot of ABBA fans might know, but which didn't do so well. But it's it's an extraordinary song and a deserved winner. And here we are at the 50th anniversary. Can you believe it?
I know. We're going to move on now to the following year, and the winners were from the Netherlands. They were called Teach-In, and the song's called Ding-a-Dong. Have a listen.
When you're feeling alright, everything is uptight. Try to sing a song that goes ding, ding it on. There will be no sorrow when you sing tomorrow, and you walk along with your ding, ding, dong. Ding it dong every hour when you pick a flower, even when your lover is gone, gone, gone. Ding it dong, listen to it, maybe it's a big hit, even when your lover is gone, gone, gone. Sing ding, ding, dong. When you're feeling alright, everything is uptight. Listen to a song that goes ding, ding it all, and the world looks sunny. Everyone is funny when they sing a song that goes ding, ding, dong. Ding and dong every hour when you pick a flower, even when your lover is gone, gone, gone. Ding and dong, listen to it, maybe it's a big hit, even when your lover is gone, gone, gone. Sing ding, ding, dong. When you think it's all over, they let me down. Dry your tears and forget all your sorrow. Try to smile while you say goodbye. Ding, ding, dong. When
My producer was just saying to me, and I totally agree now, I hear it, that the start of that, it sounds like, you know, one of those news commercials, like, we got to interrupt this program for a special broadcast. You know, that sort of thing that you'd see on The Simpsons. Do you know what I mean, Joe?
Yeah, it's those block harmonies. They're sort of straight out of Pearl and Dean movie advertising, aren't they? Ba, 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 ba,
Yeah.
ba, ba.
I love
We're all
that.
thinking of those block vocal harmonies of the 60s and 70s. Yeah, its production does sound kind of dated now, in a way that Waterloo doesn't, interestingly. I think Waterloo really still holds up 50 years later. Yeah, it's very much of its time, and I'm not going to lie, it's not my favourite of the Eurovision winners. Regular listeners will know that I tend to bring music that I personally love to the show. That's kind of not in that category, but it's important for historical reasons, because it's the great Eurovision phenomenon that never goes away of the nonsense title that you can say in any language. So Ding a Dong. I mentioned that the Croatian one is a similar nonsense title this year, and over the years I'm kind of fascinated by these. Top of my head, it's a Diggy Loo, Diggy Lay from Sweden in 84, Boom Bang a Bang from UK in 69, La 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 from Spain in 68, that one, Ding a Dong from 75, and Abinibi from Israel in 78, Tra La La from Germany in 62, Bim Bam Toi. There's all these nonsense syllables that people just love to sing. And it's Ding a Dong so many years later. I don't think it's a great song. I don't think it's a great lyric, but it was of its time, shall we say. So it's an interesting historical artifact.
Important though as well to actually say that actually those sort of, like you said, those words, they seem to clearly be catchy as well. By the way, people are starting to text in with answers to the questions, and you might have been a bit soft on them this week, Joe. I don't know whether that's just because it's me or whether it's because it's Eurovision. We know how much you love it, but that's all I'm going to say on that. By the way, Ruby in Aberdeen's text in to say Eurovision success is all about love, love, peace, peace, which sounds a bit like a Eurovision song title, doesn't it? Also, a man in a hamster wheel. Thank you very much for that, Ruby. Joe, the next song that you want to talk about didn't win. In fact, it's got as far from winning as possible. Not only did it come last, but it failed to trouble the scores at all. Arguably, the singer became more famous than the winners. This is Norway's Jahn Teigen, and the song is Mil etter mil.
Hvil deg nå, du sliten. Hvil din kropp, før din kraft ebber ut. Vann pipler inn i din sko. Du vandrer i regn, mil etter mil, etter mil, etter mil, etter mil, etter mil.
Oh, Joe, I demand a recount. How did this end with 0 point or nil point?
Absolutely, he was robbed.
Totally.
Yeah, it's. I think it's a really great tune, and happily for him, he went on. Jahn Teigen actually went on to have great success in his native Norway and became something of a star for that song and many others. And he did musical theatre, and he had a great career. But what I love about Mil etter mil, apart from it having that notoriety of the null-point, is it's one of those examples of real pop music bleeding over into Eurovision. So when we're talking about ELO, obviously, before, and that production, so you've got that chordlet that grabs guitar here. So you've got, it's like G, B minor, C. So it's like 8 to the bar, big old acoustic strumming. It's kind of... And when I hear that sort of strumming from the elbow at that sort of light rock mid-tempo, to me, with the rest of the incredibly dry production, it sounds like Living Thing by ELO. To me, it does seem like it's one of those moments where Eurovision is absorbing what's going on in pop, and you've got that processing something like a phaser on the vocal that gives it that very particular sound of its time, and the twin lead distorted electric guitar. So I think it's a really good song, and a lot of Norwegians will know it.
We're moving into the 21st century now, and another famous winner. It's Finland's Lordi, and it's a bit different to what we've heard before.
Revolt on the sinner's night. Lost are the lambs with no guiding light. The walls come down like thunder. The rock's about to roll. It's the apocalypse, now bear your soul. All we need is lightning with power and might, striking down the prophets of falls. As the moon is rising, give us the sign. Now let us rise up in all. Rock and roll angels, bring that hard rock, hallelujah. Demons and angels all in one hand right. Rock and roll angels, bring that hard rock, hallelujah.
Wow. Where did that come from, Joe? As my producer said, the rock is rolling there for sure.
The rock is rolling. Where did that come from? Well, Finland. And for anyone who does follow sort of the darker side of metal, you'll know that Finland has a great track record of producing amazing metal bands. Nightwish, Children of Bodom. I particularly love Apocalyptica, who became famous for doing Metallica covers on cellos. So the Finns just absolutely love their metal. And that track, it really took Eurovision by storm. probably partly due to the amazing costumes and pyrotechnics and stage theatrics of the performance back in 2006. But it was a big winner as well. We were talking to Ewan from the arena earlier. You know, it's important what happens on the night. But it actually, with the voting, with the judges, it actually scored what was then a record with 292 points at the time. And what I love about it guitaristically, because there's not a lot of rock in Eurovision, as we know, very occasionally the French will try something that's a bit punky and it never gets anywhere. But I love this riff, the riff just before the vocal comes in the verse. We're in G minor and it goes like this. And it's like the exact halfway point between the Kinks' All Day and All of the Night and Deep Purple's Smoke on the Water. It's also in the same key. So I love that about it. And it's just nice to see a little bit more stylistic diversity. The Swedes always do really well with their particular brand of in-your-face, four-on-the-floor Europop. And we'll talk about that in a minute. But, you know, Finland's Lordi, they're a little Eurovision anomaly, a point in history, and a deserved winner.
Yeah, I love that. Does Eurovision then ever, you said they're an anomaly, but does Eurovision ever create popular trends then in music?
Well, it doesn't really. It's very difficult for a song to escape Eurovision, and in that particular one, actually, Hard Rock Hallelujah, it was actually on a regular album by Lordi, the album charmingly called The Arocalypse, and it was actually released by the band, and then it was selected by Finland for the contest. So it's more common for an artist to sort of get started and then be picked for Eurovision or there are instances of that. Although, of course, ABBA is the great success story of someone escaping Eurovision to become mainstream pop and one of the, you know, most successful artists of all time. So it does happen. And in fact, in the next example we're going to look at, it's from quite a while ago, but a lot of younger listeners might actually recognize it from TikTok.
Years ago, when I was younger, I kinda liked a girl I knew. She was mine, and we were sweethearts. That was then, but then it's true. I'm in love with a fairy tale, even though it hurts. 'Cause I don't care if I lose my mind. I'm already cursed.
TikTok.
TikTok, yeah, specifically that violin lick, the sort of double stop. As a regular TikTok users will know, sometimes that community likes to take a track and either slow it down and reverb it or speed it up. So the slowed and reverb movement, I think, came first. And you'll certainly find lots of examples of just that violin intro, which is so beautifully played. And it's played by the artist, which is Alexander Rybak. And I don't know if I mentioned earlier, this was the 2009 winner from Norway, the song called Fairy Tale. So it's a great example of Eurovision doing its sort of sailing the line between pop songwriting and with a nod to traditional European folk. And, you know, the European folk fairly obviously from that lovely fiddle there. The pop songwriting really from the incredible economy of the writing. So we get years ago when I was younger, I kind of liked a girl I knew. She was mine and we were sweethearts. That was then, but then it's true. So just in those 4 lines, there's sort of set up the story. And then there's no pre-chorus, there's no rise. You just bang into the chorus. And that's the other thing about Eurovision. It affects song form for the songwriter because the TV show format requires you cannot go over 3 minutes. So songwriters know that they're writing for that form, which means they have to get to the good bit quickly. And I think Fairy Tale's a good example of that.
Yeah, we've spent a lot of time in Scandinavia, Finland, Norway. Next track, back to Sweden and Loreen, who's won the competition twice, including last year. But this is her first win from 2012, entitled Euphoria.
Why can't this moment last forever? Tonight eternity's an open door. No, don't ever stop doing the things you do. Don't go. And every breath I take, I'm breathing. Till the end of time. From now on, only you and I. We're going up, 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 up. Euphoria. I never lost a beat of us. A beat in love within my heart. We're going up, 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 up. We are here. We're all alone in our universe. We are free, where everything's allowed and love comes first. Forever and ever together, we sail into infinity. We're higher and higher and higher, we're reaching for divinity. Euphoria, forever till the end of time.
Absolute banger, that, Joe. Tell me about that song, apart from it's a belter.
Well, that's clearly, Qasa, that's the kind of Euro banger that you love. It's, you know, it's got the big sort of Ibiza synths. It's got the 4-on-the-floor kick drum. It screams dance to you, doesn't it? I think it was very unsurprising that I predicted it as the winner back in 2012 on the blog. I'm reading from my comments from them. The verse is arty enough to be credible. The chorus is danceable and singable enough to have mass appeal. And form is nicely used. It seems like there are more chorus repeats at the end that there actually are. And my comment then was could well win, and sure enough, it did. But I wanted to put that track in the show tonight as an example of the kind of thing that the Swedes do so brilliantly. It's like they have this machine that can make songs like that, and everyone is catchy, everyone is a banger. They've got amazing production talent there, which for a country of whatever it is, 9 million people, it's remarkable the producers per head of population they seem to have in Sweden. So I wanted to play that one, and of course that means that it's relevant to play the 2022 winner, which was same artist Loreen, and the song was called Tattoo.
Baby, we both know this is not our time. It's time to say goodbye until we meet again. 'Cause this is not the end. It will come a day when we will find a way. Violins playing and the angels crying when the stars align, then I'll be there. No, I don't care about them all, 'cause all I want is to be loved, and all I care about is you. It's stuck on me like a tattoo.
another tune, but I actually prefer Euphoria now. But anyway, yeah, let's move it on a little bit from Loreen. As usual, Joe, you've stumped a few people actually with the quiz because it's coming up to that time. I mean, I did say a few people are getting it, but others, yeah, a few people not a little bit stumped. But can you remind us of what we have to do for the quiz and play those songs again?
Yeah, okay, so real quick, I'm going to play you the instrumental bit from some UK entries. The UK has entered 64 songs in the history of the competition. These are 5 of them. I'm going to play you the instrumental bit, either the instrumental in the middle or the intro, and it's simply name the song. So here we go, quick fire, and this is an oldie. This one came in fourth place. Here we go. Question 2, this is an even older oldie, and here is the intro. Question 3, this is a more recent track, and here is the guitar solo. For question 4, this is a winner, and this is the intro. And finally, question 5, this is the Euro banger that you loved so much, Qasa. This is the intro. Five intros, name the song.
Absolutely. And we're going to get those answers in, a few minutes' time, about 5-6 minutes or so. So get them in right now. By the way, Joe, we've had a sound-alike request for you. We're always looking for these, by the way. So if you've got a couple of songs that you think sound similar, text 85058 or email gordon@bbc.co.uk with your requests. Anyway, this one's come from Catherine in Cornwall. A quick sound-alike suggestion. How about Train's 50 Ways to Say Goodbye? And Andrew Lloyd-Webber's The Phantom of the Opera. Love the show, by the way. What can you tell us about this one, Joe?
You know, I'd never spotted this similarity till Catherine pointed it out. But I went deep, I did the melodic analysis, and I totally see what Catherine means.
Go on, Catherine.
So first of all, I'll just play you the tracks. Here is the Phantom excerpt.
In sleep he sang to me, in dreams he came. That voice which calls to me and speaks my name. And do I dream again? For now I find the phantom of the opera is there inside my mind.
So this is Train's 50 Ways to Say Goodbye, a song I'm really fond of. It's a really interesting song. Let's listen to a little bit of that.
My heart is paralyzed. My head was oversized. I'll take the high road like I should. You said it's meant to be, that it's not you, it's me. You're living now for my own good. That's cool, but if my friends ask where you are, I'm gonna say she went down in an airplane, fried, getting suntan, fell in a cement mixer full of quicksand. Help me, I'm no good at goodbye.
So obviously they're in different keys, they're in different styles, when you're listening out for the similarity, you kind of have to listen past that, listen past all these strings, listen past the sort of four on the floor train pop production there, and try and get to the vocal melody. So to make that a little bit easier for people, what I've done here is with these short excerpts, I've tempo synced them. So I've made Phantom of the Opera a little bit faster, up to 140 beats per minute, which is the speed of the train song. And I've changed the key so that both in the same key of D minor. Now, what you need to listen for is the vocal melody, which goes... There's the Phantom melody. And once I put them in the same key and the same tempo, it should be a little bit easier to hear that vocal melody similarity. So here's Phantom, a little faster.
In sleep he sang to me, in dreams he came. That voice which calls to me and speaks my name. And do I dream again? For now I find the Phantom of the Opera is there.
So we've got that da 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 da. So keep that in your head. And here is Train in the same key, same tempo.
My heart is paralyzed. My head was oversized.
So now we should be able to get a little loop going, and I'll see if I can do my live DJ thing and flip back and forth between them. So here we go.
In sleep he sang to me, in dreams he came.
My heart is paralyzed.
In dreams he came. In sleep he sang to me.
My head was oversized.
So you can see once you sync for key and tempo, they're not so far apart. And I think Catherine's made a great point. To be clear, there's nothing to worry about here. These small coincidences happen all the time. And what we're hearing is that da, 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 that 5-octave 5, and then the rhythm da, da, da. And we're putting those two elements together in our minds, and it sort of triggers some kind of recognition. So it's a great point from Catherine. I'm really pleased to drill down into this one.
Yeah, very impressive to see you sort of drill down into it as well, and hear you, obviously. Before we get to the quiz answers, and we've got a few to get through, we should mention the UK's entry this year, Ollie Alexander and Dizzy. First of all, let's have a listen.
There's a place where we break the line. Make it a circle redefined. Beautiful gardens, eternal flowers. You know the way, so take me there. Won't you make me dizzy from your kisses? Will you take my hand and spin me round and round until the moment never ends? Make me dizzy from your kisses. Will you take my hand and spin me? Take me back to the beginning again.
What do you give this shot then? What do you give this song then as a shot?
I think it's a very creditable performance for the UK. I'm not going to try and tip it as a winner. I don't think it's that strong, but it's got a lot of really great elements. And, the Brits complain a lot about everyone in Europe hates us, but I don't know. Sam Ryder's Spaceman a couple of years ago did really well, came in at number 2, and that was a cracking song. So I think it's a really solid song. Ollie Alexander is a big star, years and years. That big, the breakthrough hit King from 2015. 2015. That was huge. It's still up to something like 600 million streams. What I love about Dizzy is it uses the I Will Survive chord loop. So you're in C minor. So first I was afraid, I was petrified, can I never live without you by my side? Or fly me to the moon and let me play among the stars. It's the circle of fourths chord loop, and it's one of those loops that it takes you on a journey, and the whole chorus of Dizzy is that loop. So fun thing. You can sing Pet Shop Boys' It's a Sin, Gloria Gaynor's I Will Survive, Cat Stevens' Wild World, and the jazz standard Fly Me to the Moon over Dizzy, should you wish to.
And he was in It's a Sin as well, of course, don't forget. Right, Joe, we've just got time to give the answers for this week's quiz. What were we listening to then?
Okay, so here we go. Quick fire reveal. The first one was from 1974. It was, of course, Olivia Newton-John, who is English, British-born, and the song was Long Live Love from 74. So for number 2, we had that intro with the floor tom, bom, 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 sounded like this. And I'm sure a lot of people, maybe older listeners, were ready to sing along with Cliff Richard with his vocal Congratulations.
Congratulations
And, whoops, cut that one off. Maybe I shouldn't have done that, but we're short on time. So here's the bit of guitar solo I played you from earlier. And I think a lot of people would have got that one because it was more recent. This was, I think, the UK's most recent winners. That was Katrina and Love Shine a Light from 1997.
Brothers and sisters in every little part, let our love shine a light in every corner of our hearts.
Love that guitar solo. The next one, number 4, was from 1981. It was the UK's winner. The intro sounded like this. And, of course, the song was Making Your Mind Up by Bucks Fizz, the winner in 81.
And soon you will find that there comes a time for making your mind up.
And our final one, the little preview. I think you got this one straight away, Qasa, from the look in your eyes. This was the intro. What I think we called in the 90s a fat with a PH synth riff there. And of course, it only came 8th place, but weirdly everyone in the UK knows it, I think. It was Ooh Ah Just a Little Bit by Gina G, 8th place in 96. Sounds like this.
Just a little bit, a little bit more. Just a little bit, you know what I'm looking for. Just a little bit.
Also,
some easy
Reflex,
ones, some hard ones.
Yeah, also Reflex on a Friday night sounds a bit like that as well. And I'm sure other high street chain clubs as well. Joe, thank you so much. I've got to say congratulations to Janet in Morton, who got all of them. Big tick for you. Also Tina in Kent, well done. Kevin in Devon was straight in there with all 5. And also Andrew in Brixham, lovely part of the world. And also you got all 5 as well. So congrats to you. Ruby in Aberdeen, you missed Katrina and the Waves. Oh, so close, but good work for you nevertheless. And David in Leighton Buzzard also missed Katrina. Ashley missed Olivia Newton-John and says, oh, and Lordy are still touring, by the way. Thank you very much for that knowledge. And also Neil in Rossendale says he didn't get the Gina G one. Oh, Neil, come on, my man. And then also Harry from Quainton got 3. Ruth in Cumbria got 3. Good effort, team. And a big, big tick for Mrs. Harris, who just recognised one, which was Long Live Love by Olivia Newton-John. The others, I don't have a clue. Well, fair enough. At least now you do, because we've had this brilliant explanation and this brilliant quiz yet again from Joe. Really good to spend the last hour in your time, Joe. It's been fun, and also it's been an education in how music works for me.
Great to meet you, Qasa, and good luck.
Yeah, totally. I'll be thinking of you with the Eurovision. And just remind me again, you thought, was it Croatia is going to be the winner?
Yeah, my money is on Croatia for the winner. I think it's got all of the elements in the right places.
Yeah, okay then. Well, let's put this on the record then. Who are going to be your top 3?
Oh, gosh, okay. I don't normally commit this early, but I'm going to say Croatia... no, you're making me commit now. Possibly Ireland, and because Nemo's song is so weird, they might just buy it in the auditorium. Let's say Croatia, Ireland, Switzerland. That's how I'm feeling right now.
Thank you very much. I'll hold you to that. Appreciate it, Joe. Also, thanks to Ben and Glenn. What a double act. Thank you for getting us on air tonight. Beth and Joe for producing the programme, to Phil, the big man in the chair, who's edited it all. Also, thank you for being such fun company. It's been really good fun being with you. Gordon, of course, is going to be back tomorrow.